Oh, there's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hey, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. This is a birthday vlog for Britta. Her birthday's coming up in a few weeks and I'm getting started early, right at the end of June, along with some of her other booktube besties to commemorate her fabulous birthday. I think she's maybe 39 or something now, by doing a reading vlog, or as I call it, a VeeLog. And I have chosen a book to read that Britta really liked and that I have long wanted to read, and that is Sylvia Townsend Warner's Lolly Willowes. So I've just read the first 10 pages. I'm keeping it off Goodreads and not gonna tell Britta that I'm reading it. This will be her birthday surprise, because you know I love to do really juvenile surprises like this, especially for Britta. Happy birthday, darling. I hope you have a fabulous day. And I think you should do a birthday vlog as in response to ours. How about that challenge, hey? Sylvia Townsend Warner, I've only read one other novel by her, and that was actually a buddy read with Britta and with Eric Carl Anderson. That was Summer Will Show, her historical novel that was set at the time in the UK and in Europe, in Paris, at the time of the 1848 uprisings, revolutions. And it was good, very flawed, and it gave me a headache because it was really perhaps needlessly complicated, difficult to follow. But it's a book that's really stuck with me, so I've always wanted to read more by her, and everybody says Lolly Willowes is her masterpiece, so I'm reading it, and it's nice and short, so I'm hoping to have it all read and finished in time for Britta's birthday. I've read the first 10 pages, and all I'll say about it now, I love them. Lolly, her father has died, and so she's now being fobbed off on a brother. So she's moving from the country estate to live with her brother and his wife and family in London. And we don't really know how she feels about it yet, but sketching in the background, the family genealogy, which just really I was enraptured by. But the one curious detail is on the first few pages, while she's talking with her sister-in-law about this plan that she's going to move in with them, she is not really paying attention to what her sister Laura says. She had picked a red geranium flower and was staining her left wrist with the juice of its crushed petals. So, when she was younger, she had stained her pale cheeks and had bent over the greenhouse tank to see what she looked like. And I thought, okay, is this some kind of a late 19th, early 20th century thing that women did or people did? They would stain their skin with a flower? Is that a thing? And I couldn't find anything about that other than two, I think, maybe overly psychoanalytic interpretations of it in this novel, which makes me think it's not probably a thing. Just it was an odd thing for her to do. One was that it was a suicide attempt. I mean, it was a mock suicide attempt because she was so distraught about being kind of passed around like chattel. And what was the other one? The other one was that it was highly eroticized in symbolic significance, and they talked about clitoral metaphor or something. I don't think I quite followed all that, but I am going to keep that striking image of her staining her wrist with, what was it? What flower? I'm so stupid about flowers, I gotta look it up again. Red geranium. So yeah, the red is the blood, and anyway, I'm gonna keep it in my mind as I keep reading and see if it has any larger symbolic resonance. I had a discussion with Lindy because I say kind of inane things or I don't clarify what I mean, and I have said on my channel that I hate symbols but I like images. Really what I'm reacting against is the psychoanalytic, like if there's a moon in the poem it must mean this, like the Carl Jung thing. That's what I hate. I'm happy to talk about symbols that might have a meaning, that any one reader might decide has a meaning for them personally, but nothing that goes beyond that. I can't stand that part of academic study of literature, that there's symbols that must mean the same thing wherever they show up. But anyway, I'm curious about what this might mean imagistically, metaphorically, symbolically. So stay tuned, and yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing on with the book and on with the birthday vlog. Hey, here I am in this little shrine by where I teach. Just another check-in on Lolly Willowes. It's going well. I'm on page 26. It's only about 160 pages or something, so I don't know if I'll finish it in time for when I post the Britta birthday vlog, but I'm really enjoying it. I can see why it's a Britta book and why it's a Sean book. Our tastes overlap a bit, and one of the ways in which our reading tastes overlap is that we both like books about strong, independent women that aren't all that hepped on marriage, and Lolly Willowes foots the bill. I don't have much else to say about it, really. The narration is now up to where the father dies. He got a chill setting off fireworks for his grandson's first year birthday party, and dies very soon thereafter, and we'll circle back to the opening of the story where Lolly Willowes moves to live with the other brother. I think that's all I have to say about it, but I'm really enjoying it. So, more later. Hey, so this is the Britta bench, one of them. I have a few over around Tokyo, but Tuesdays is my day to check in with Britta, usually just on a personal nature, not on a book, on a buddy read. And Tuesday is one of my busiest days where I'm out and about, and so I've just gotten into the habit. I have a almost 2-hour break before my next class at 2 o'clock, and this is my Britta time on my Britta bench. So, I haven't yet left her a message. I thought I'd leave you guys a message, a little update on this VeeLog. I'm making steady progress with Lolly Willowes. I'm really enjoying it. It's gotten me hooked in the last dozen pages or so. And I won't give any spoilers, but Lolly is just an incredible character, and she seems so humdrum, but she just keeps every 30 or 50 pages, something will come out. She will blurt something out or do something completely unexpected in a way that I just love. A couple things that I've encountered that I'm very curious about. One is that she's not religious. And I think she's in her late 40s now. She's been living as a spinster with her brother and sister-in-law for 20 years. Kind of an old maid, although 47 isn't that old, but anyway, it was at this time, I guess, considered to be. And she's not religious, but she especially dislikes Palm Sunday because she doesn't like palm trees, or she doesn't like palm branches or palm leaves. I am not a very good Christian either, because I never really knew that Palm Sunday was connected to a palm tree, but anyway. Does anybody know why? Do they have a bad smell? It wasn't explained. It was just kind of dropped in, and there's a lot of curious things. Just like a few pages later, it's revealed that her sister-in-law doesn't like autumn because the autumn leaves fall on the ground, and she says that's very unhealthy for people. And I've never heard that, and I googled that. I didn't find anything. What? The decaying leaves give off some noxious fumes? Like what is that folk belief or superstition? That was a new one. Now, autumn and autumn leaves seems like it's going to become a ever more important metaphor throughout the remainder of the novel. So interesting. But her sister-in-law, like, they always wanted to go back to London from their summer vacation spot because as soon as the leaves started to fall, because she thought it was unhealthy to be amongst the autumn leaves on the ground. So somebody needs to explain that to me. I'm really enjoying it. I will have one more check-in before I put this blog up for Britta's birthday on Saturday.
たしました。岩田の森駅です。お客様、混雑の影響で遅れて発車しております。お急ぎのところお願いしてご注意。
Happy birthday, Britta. I'm visiting this park that I've never been to, even though it's like a 20-minute bus ride from my house. In honor of your birthday. So many happy returns, girlfriend. And here I am, and I'm sweaty, but it's actually, well, the sun's gone behind a cloud. So this will be my last installment because I gotta get this sucker posted in time for Britta to wake up on her birthday. I listened to a podcast on the way here. It was the LARB, L-A-R-B, Los Angeles Review of Books book podcast, which I almost never listen to, even though it's good. I just don't make much space in my life for book podcasts. But I listened to it because it was their book club about Claire Fuller's Unsettled Ground, which I know Britta loved, and I heard her review, and I think I've also heard that Scott and Nell, I'm pretty sure that Scott loved it, and I have enjoyed Claire Fuller's most previous novel, Swimming Lessons. I have her debut sitting on my shelf. So yeah, I think I need to read this. It's also about two unmarried, we don't use the word spinster anymore, do we? 51-year-old twins, sisters, whose mother dies, and then all kinds of family secrets come out, and it has to do with fake nostalgia and what's the other thing? Homelessness. So yeah, it sounds really interesting. I see I can get the audiobook on Apple Books for about $13, so maybe that's how I'll try it first of all, but it sounds excellent and wanted to mention it. I chose it to listen to on the way here and wanted to mention it because it's a favorite author of Britta's as well. I think she would say favorite, certainly one that she has enjoyed some or all of her books. So I'm going to walk around the park. I don't know where to go. It's supposed to be a huge park, but where can I go? Anyway, it's very bleached out, but I forgot that one of the main things about this park is that whoever built it or whatever, they erected statues of philosophers. So let's have a look at those. And it's really hot. I don't think I'm going to stay very long. I know that Britta is a little bit interested in philosophy, and she knows that I hate it. So the things I do for you, Britta. All the names are in one of the Japanese alphabets or syllabaries, katakana, and I should be able to read it. You'd think I would be able to read one of the easiest Japanese alphabets after all these years, but I can't. won't embarrass myself. Some of them are obviously Japanese or Chinese philosophers, because that is kanji. I think I know who this guy is. How can they do that in this weather? Perfect. I'm wearing Britta's favorite of my new bookish t-shirts. I found this great shady spot with a table so I can set the iPad down and finish filming and maybe cool off a bit before I go home. Whew, it's hot. I have barely scratched the surface of this park. I think it's huge. But anyway, I'll come back when it's cooler. The founder of this park is the Japanese philosopher Inoue Enryo, who lived from 1858 to 1919, and he is responsible for bringing Western philosophy to Japan in large part. He was a professor, he was a philosopher, a Buddhist reformer, an educator, and a royalist. So he would be responsible for a lot of the imperialist, ridiculous, dangerous ideology that led to the cult of the emperor, but he died a couple decades before the worst of that emerged. He is the creator of this park. Tetsugakado Park in English is Temple Garden of Philosophy. He also studied ghosts, yokai, but his purpose in studying them was to debunk the superstitions. But he had nicknames, Professor Spectre, Yokai Hakase, and the Spook Doctor, Obake Hakase. So let me wrap up my reading VeeLog. I have not finished Sylvia Townsend Warner's Lolly Willowes. I'm on about page 94 of a 160-page novella, and I kind of thought I would finish it because it's so short, but I didn't. I'm reading dozens of other books, but I'm really loving it. So thank you, Britta, I think you put it on my radar. Certainly I know that it's because I think you gave it 4 stars, and you and I have talked about it, I think. I've also talked about it with Roz of Scallydowning about the books, but this is going to be a great read for me. I can't imagine anything happening in the last third or whatever to turn me off of it. One thing that really intrigues me when I'm reading is when reference is made to another book in the book I'm reading. So I always Google that, and then I always wonder about the intertextual vibrations between the books, and sometimes it makes me want to read the books that are referenced. That happened a few pages ago. This is not a spoiler because it's on the back page, but Lolly leaves her brother and sister-in-law and moves to a town where she knows nobody, a rinky-dink little town, and lives with a landlady, Mrs. Leek, and asks to borrow some books, and chooses from Mrs. Leek's library Mehalah by the Reverend Sabine Baring-Gould, and an anonymous work of information called Enquire Within Upon Everything. So I didn't know, I had never heard of these books, but the Reverend Sabine Baring-Gould, how's that for a moniker? 1834 to 1924. He was an Anglican priest, a hagiographer, an antiquarian, a novelist, a folk song collector, and eclectic scholar. Published more than 1,240 publications, and the Wikipedia entry says, though this list continues to grow. He also wrote hymns, so this is the only thing that I knew about him without realizing that I knew it. He wrote Onward Christian Soldiers. Mehalah looked vaguely interesting. It was one of his first novels, 1880. The subtitle is A Story of the Salt Marshes. Created somewhat of a sensation. being compared by Swinburne to Wuthering Heights. The Amazon description says it was followed by 30 other novels distinctly inferior. So this is the one, if you're going to read one, set on the North Shore of the Blackwater Estuary in the Flat. So the coastal parts of Essex. That sounds interesting. I don't know if I'd want to read the book. Inquire Within Upon Everything does sound like something that some year I would like to read for Victober. It's apparently often referred to in literature, and it was just like 1856 first published. I think in print now it's 824 pages or something. It was the 19th century Ghoul. So in Lolly Willowes, we find out that from this book, Lolly learned how gentlemen's hats, if plunged in a bath of logwood, will come out with a dash of respectability, and that ruins are best constructed of cork. I don't even know what that means. Ruins are best constructed. Ruins are what remains of something, so they survive better if they're made of cork. I don't understand that. Maybe I'll have to look it up in Inquire Within Upon Everything, but very interesting. Fantastic. I'm so glad that I have started this book because of Britta, and specifically because of Britta's birthday surprise. I've also this morning read 5 pages of the penultimate story in this collection of short stories, Toni Cade Bambara's Gorilla My Love, which is a buddy read I've been doing 1 story a week for weeks and weeks with Britta. And that's our buddy reads now consist of that pace and that genre. Short stories, 1 story a week, and we are both really enjoying this. The penultimate story is Maggie of the Green Bottles, and I'm finding it, as I often find her stuff, fascinatingly confusing, so I don't really know exactly what's going on. I think it's about 2 sisters. The protagonists of most of these stories are really sassy, badass, young African-American girls or women, and I love the way that Toni Cade Bambara brings those characters to life. There are some darker themes, there's 1 or 2 that one or the other of us didn't care for or had some political kind of that we problematized, but for the most part it's been a really delightful, absolutely incredible experience reading Toni Cade Bambara for the first time. 3 things I'd like to say. 1, once again, happy birthday, Britta. And 2, I don't think Britta will mind me telling you about this because it's publicly available, but Britta was profiled in the New York Times. I can't remember, let's find out. When was it? It was when she quit her job or changed her career from being a lawyer, although she still, I think, dabbles in that, to becoming a writer. So it's fascinating. It's been a long time since I read it, and it's publicly available information, so I think you should all read it as your way of celebrating Britta, because she is an absolutely fascinating individual. December 2015, headline, From the Courtroom to the Literary Life. It's a fabulous article about a fabulous person. You must check it out. And the 3rd thing is to say, Britta, your friendship means so much to me. We've become such close friends. I never would have imagined it possible. And we've never met. And I love you. Happy birthday.